As Calvin Dave had emerged from the lantern one, he had sampled the air, he had sampled the angle of the sun against the azimuth of the horizon. Being that he does not have a sextant, he was not able to exactly call high noon today, but I'm warning you now that Calvin Dave is on the road. You might want to stay off the sidewalks. This is a big rig, he may wander, I do not know. Well, I'm here at the North Union Shaker Village, one of the shaky communities that's still open. I'm going to go and get a video and then do a self-guided tour and take some video. The South Union Shaker Village was founded in 1807 as the result of Shaker missionaries discovering willing converts in frontier Kentucky. The village flourished during the early 19th century but suffered financial setbacks during the Civil War and a declining membership afterwards. By the time the village disbanded in 1922, the Shakers had constructed over 225 buildings at South Union. Only 9 buildings remained. The 1785 grain barn was used for threshing and grain storage. The barn was one of a dozen or more barns built at South Union, complete with a built-in scale in the floor and a pulley system to hoist grain into the upper levels. I used to make furniture. Shaker influence furniture is well known. Some of the things that they came up with, such as the circular saw blade and other things. But remember, Shakers were more than just a furniture style. They actually were a fairly successful, albeit short-lived, I guess, experiment in communal living. The ministry shop was both residence and workshop for the Shaker community's leadership. Although the terminology would have been foreign to them, the Shakers believed in sexual equality, assigning both a male and female to lead their communities. South Union's lead eldress and her assistant used the front entrance to reach their rooms on the second floor. The elder and his assistant used the back or south entrance and occupied the rooms on the lower level. The east side of the building was designed for sleeping, the west side as workspace. It's amazing how everything's kind of neatly organized and simple. The yellow floors and the shaker pegs and lots of brooms. The ministry shop looks today like it would have in the early 1880s. The colors on the woodwork match those originally used by the Shakers, including the bright chrome yellow floors, a pigment not uncommon to Shaker interiors in the Northeast. In the 1840s, innovative agriculturalists cooked feed for their livestock during the winter months. Cooked feed supposedly gave the cow a healthy, silky coat and added weight before the long drive to market in the spring. The milk house. It provided workspace for the production of butter and cheese, undertaken mainly by the sisters in the village. The room that I'm in right now was actually used for churning butter and pressing cheese. The room next to it was known as the milk room, where butter, cheese, and milk were stored, and in the days before refrigeration, the space was kept cool by water piped in from a nearby well and ice brought from the ice house. The Shakers invented the flat broom in 1878, providing an efficient household product that eventually replaced traditional round brooms across America. Production of flat brooms at South Union began in 1828. The equipment that I have seen in this room is actually the only known set of broom-making machinery actually used by the South Union Shakers. In marketing their brooms, the Shakers claimed, "To use them once is to use them always." Shaker brethren prepared fresh meat in this room by first cutting and salting it, then hanging it in the space upstairs to be smoked for flavor. The most unique feature of this building is the fireplace. Smoke could be vented into the upstairs room and or out the chimney. By 19th century standards, this smokehouse was clean, efficient, and modern in design. This building was home to those Shakers who had signed a covenant agreeing to divest themselves of personal property and vowing to a life of celibacy and godly principles. Throughout much of the 19th century, nearly 100 Shakers called the center house home. But by the early 20th century, only about a dozen people occupied this house. The building has 4 levels of living space and 42 rooms. Shaker simplicity and order are exemplified by the presence of pegs on the walls in nearly every room in the house. Built-in cupboards and walk-in closets were also original to the building. The rooms and hallways are naturally lit and well ventilated for healthy living. The paint on the woodwork dates from the mid-19th century and would have originally been much brighter and more reflective. From the 1830s to the 1860s, nearly 100 Center family members were fed from the labors of this room. 3 meals a day, every day of the year. The men would enter through the east door and the women through the west. They would take their appointed places on separate sides of the room. After giving thanks, the meal was taken in silence. The brothers' retiring rooms were furnished in a manner that adhered to the rules set up by the Shaker leaders, known as the Millennial Laws, written in 1821. They dictated that there should only be 1 rocking chair per room, except where the aged reside. In addition to the beds and chairs, 1 table and no more than 2 candle stands were permissible. The furniture in this room was made at South Union prior to the Civil War. This room specifically is one of the reasons why I wanted to visit the South Union community. I made furniture for a long time, and one of my favorite styles of furniture was the Shaker style. Shakers made furniture at South Union from around 1810 to the 1880s. This exhibit shows some of the classic forms that were created in the village. While Shakers espoused a certain degree of uniformity in their simple design, South Union furniture is dissimilar from Shaker furniture found in other villages in Kentucky, Ohio, New York, and New England. There is a strong sense of Southern taste in the South Union furniture making style and form. It stands alone as one of the most unique bodies of material culture in the Shaker world. In this room is 19th century Kentuckians' interpretation of Shaker simplicity. After the Civil War, South Union experienced declining membership and dwindling income from its industries. The Shakers eventually stopped producing what they needed in the village, finding it more economical to purchase from local stores or mail-in order companies like Sears and Roebuck and Montgomery Ward. One of the results of that change was more influence from the outside world. Okay, everybody, I've stopped here at Chauncey's Dairy Barn. I was recommended by my local host to pick some food up here for me and the adventure dog. He looks hungry. Ooh, say double Chauncey burger. It's like 10 ounces for like $8. It's pretty good. Followed the burger up with 2 scoops of mint chocolate chip ice cream, which should lead to a food coma and hopefully a nap. There's been a development. There's a hurricane. Man. Apparently he's planning to borrow a canoe for the winter, and says, I will campaign the rivers of the south, the Florida. I don't know if he wants to get eaten by the alligator or what his deal is, but